What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It is your friendly neighborhood BJJ podcaster, ESPARZA, coming to you with another great installment of the Bullpen, a joint venture between Inside BJJ and the Grappling Hour. I hope all is well. Gonna be honest with you. Your boy mentally is at WrestleMania. Why? Because I have tickets to WrestleMania this weekend. We will get to that in a second and why that is impairing what it is we're talking about. But I do want to say I am pretty excited for today's episode. We have a lot to talk about. And yes, I will get to our very first posted comment here in a section in just a second. But I will first say hello to Tim because that's what a polite person does. Tim, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great. Little bit green with envy that you're going to WrestleMania 2-day extravaganza. It's going to be a banger of an event. I'm jealous. I'm going to look for you on cam because you have a nice way of always showing up. So I definitely want to see that. And man, I got to be honest, today's show wrap, ADCC West Coast Trials. I was thinking it was a big nothing burger, but I've been asleep at the wheel here in the South. There's like 1,000 people registered for this event. So a lot of interesting things going on in the brackets, man.
Don't worry, because we've already got two people telling us how we're wrong on our picks when we haven't made any. So the first one I want to bring up here is from Coach Starkey, MMA, in response to our poll, where we put some favorites and some friends of the PGF world. And we said, what about those people? And he's like, hey, you have some other friends at PGF. This is true. But what about Battle Rama brawler Clayton Weimer? Now, listen, sir. Nothing against Clayton. We like Clayton. I'd like to see Clayton go far at this one. I am just letting you know that some of these guys have traction and they look like things could go very, very well. I think Clayton could be a spoiler, and if he performs like he did toward the end of the PGF run, that could be very, very exciting. So I appreciate that. And look at this. Raph is back with the goods. I appreciate that. What's up, Daily Stack? Okay. I'll address this first note here because I feel like this is the one that I need to make sure I'm very clear on. Can I go to WrestleMania with you? The answer is no. And here's why, children. Listen, you know what? I'm taking Tim off this one. This is just me. Here's the way this works. I have gotten notes from people being like, will I see you at Trials? And the answer is no. And here's why. Trials does not credential me. So I have stopped asking for credentials. They say they want big publications like ESPN and Fox and people with magazines, as if people read those. They want those people to do the coverage, unlike me, who actually interviews every single person who tends to win. So I'm going to go get drunk and have fun at WrestleMania. Now, here's what I can say about this. If I had been credentialed, would I have gone to WrestleMania? Guess we'll never know. Well, I was like, hey, Tim, we don't know. I just feel like
I couldn't hold that one in.
I just feel like this, which is I root for ADCC to have a good event. But until they want additional coverage, I don't see the need to pretend like I don't have other stuff to do. So as much as it pains me not to be there and see some friends, I would much prefer being a guy who's interviewing people. But let's just say, for an example, this weekend, why don't you guys tell me how many interviews you're going to see that aren't done by Flo? Feel free to send them to me because I would love to see them. In years past, I was told that they didn't need it because Flo does all the interviews. Okay. Kind of. If it's one of their favorite people. We tend to try to interview as many people as possible. So in years past, we have actually beaten Flo to get all the interviews here at the Grappling Hour. So I guess what I'm saying to you is this. I'm not opposed to it, but the reason why I'm a little bummed out about this element for what is real credentials, what is it like to go? Couldn't I just go and storm the gates and do it? Sure. But why? The whole process is to do it the right way. And so that way you have legitimate access and you're not getting chased out for trying to do a professional form of reporting. So I'm going to go have fun. I might have it on my phone for a little while, But I gotta be honest, I gotta get blurry freaking photos and videos from as far back as where I'm sitting, which is still on the floor, but you know, hey, it is what it is. And I'm gonna have fun, y'all. So I wish everybody the best. We have a lot of stuff. And it says, what? That's ridiculous. Who's covering jits better than the bullpen? Your lips, God's ears. I'm just saying, I have a track record of interviewing people. I don't know that everybody else does. So I'd love to see if somebody else is going out there and doing as consistent of work, and more importantly, who really does try to do the right interviews for these people. So we'll reassess this in a week, but in the meantime, I figured I would open with that. But Tim, I have some news for you because I was crunching numbers. Do you want to take a guess as to what my number crunching is?
I'm going to say you're looking at number of competitors, maybe. That would be my biggest guess.
Now, you may recall that a few weeks ago, we brought up the fact that the Simple Man podcast was posing while also asking for money from other organizations. Hey, is ADCC dead? Which in reality is probably their way of saying we're not interested as much as we used to be, even though all of them are essentially trials winners or very notable competitors in that world. So it got me thinking. When I even do like an ask to friends and family who do like jiu-jitsu, it seems like ADCC is not as intriguing. Some people are saying it's because it's in Poland. Well, they weren't around for when we were watching it in China and seeing a special halftime performance that can only be described as, is it still going? So what I would like to bring up here is maybe posing the question, Tim, do you think ADCC has an enthusiasm gap? Not that it's losing the luster, but that maybe some of these guys who look up to their idols, like they're Craig Jones, the Simple Man podcast guys, these big athletes who are talking about the great contracts they're getting from UFC BJJ, and saying maybe it's not as worth it as it used to be.
Yeah, I think there's an element of that for sure. Like there's no big personalities in ADCC that's kind of drawing people to track it. Now, Flo's done a reasonable job of signing good athletes, and you know, they're pretty much falling into that kind of family of competitions and stuff. But most of the guys that Flo works with are pretty regular dudes when it comes to the mic. They're not that controversial. You know, I don't think Craig Jones is doing much with them anymore. When he was probably their biggest mic guy. I do think it's an enthusiasm problem, and it's also a problem because who's building the stars in ADCC? Like, who's actually going, like, we got to tell these stories and build these stars? Nobody's really doing it. Like, Flo and ADCC are separate organizations. They might have business together, but that's business, and they're not really working together to go, we need to build these guys up. And until somebody does that or comes in with a built-up following, it's probably going to be a little lackluster in terms of enthusiasm. And plus, it's in Poland. Like, nobody wants to go to Poland, dude. I'm just being real. Like, I'm sure Poland's a great place, but it's a long-ass way from where most of the competitors are.
For sure. But, I mean, there is an international element to this that, granted, it's a smaller subsection, but we don't bitch without watching when it comes to the World Cup for those of us who love that world. I think that's part of the reason why I ended up getting so into ADCC and that world is because I recognize these are insane people, like World Cup people, where you go, I guess I'm up at 2 a.m. to watch something that's happening in some other continent. So, okay, like I can live that life. I get it. We got spoiled with back-to-back United States versions, which is important because you want to expand the base and we are trendsetters. But I think it's potentially now the enthusiasm gap representing there might be a PR crisis there. Because the competition hasn't changed. Maybe the pay has changed a little bit, which is good. Not a ton, and I do believe there are more options now. But what if I were to tell you that even from the last incarnation of the ADCC Trials, where there was the conflict of usurping some of those athletes to go to CJI, that currently there was 30% less competitors from last ADCC West Coast Trials to this one.
Interesting. I wonder what was the top number? Do you know the top number from 2024 when they had them?
Yeah, that's how I did the number too. Yes.
No, I know, but I'm just curious. What does it even top out at? It's got to be like 1,000 or somewhere around there, I would imagine.
So here's the important key element to keep in mind. They have famously said that divisions will top out. And I want to say at the 2024 incarnation, they did get a couple that actually maxed out. In 2024, that was not the case. They did not top out. No division had to be closed down. So now we are currently at a place where no division is topped out. The most entries, in case you guys are wondering, our board over to the side here is actually done from least amount of competitors to the most amount of competitors. So the most amount of competitors is the negative 77 kg division here. And that currently, as it stands, has 188 competitors. So what we have done here is we have shown some analysis. So as we go through the different weight classes, when we come back to this board, you guys will see the amount of increase or decrease just from East Coast Trials. Now, mind you, one thing that I want to study more and more is where do the women fall? Because the other trials does not matter to them. We are currently in a world where Anna Mayordomo and Mo Black are both injured, and they've already won at least one other trials. Anna's won, I believe, 2. And they still don't have bids to go to the main dance. And now that they're injured, you have to ask yourself, what is the purpose when your biggest category that has brought you these champions that you always want to go ahead and say it's a historically important category at plus 99 kg is not outdrawing the women at negative 65 kg?
Good point. I think this is part of the PR crisis that you're referring to. It's just like, think decisions like this that don't make a lot of sense to the rest of the world. Maybe what jiu-jitsu has done is they haven't blocked ADCC. It's not like they're put on block, but they've muted their stories. Like, I just don't want to see you for a while. I'll check back later. You know what I mean? But for now, I don't need it. It kind of seems like that's where it's at. Somebody mentioned there's a lot of opportunity right now. That's probably true.
Pull up that comment. You know, even from my own students, they were just like, ADCC, whatever. It's like my dad's competition. And you're like looking at them going, I don't want to rewrite the past. I think it is important to note, for a while, Tim, as historians, was that one of the few ones that actually paid?
Yeah, it was. It was 100%. And it was one of the few ones that really mattered, you know?
And what was wild was I made a suggestion to some friends and I said, hey, you know, if you're really getting into jiu-jitsu and you want to compete at a very high level, I would highly suggest that you go see trials. It's in LA. We're not going to have the benefit of watching it live in Vegas. It's going to be in Poland. So this is really your one opportunity to see it. And I am suggesting that people go, and people go, 2 questions. 1, is it all day? And I said, yeah. And they go, okay. 2, so like, how does this work? And I try to explain as briefly as I can. Only one person in each weight class will get to go. And there are many talented people. And for me, I recognize that for them not having a draw or an interest in it, I did hear them name some names. And a few of them, one guy in particular was like, well, hey, you know, I like the Tackett brothers and the Rotolo twins. If there's people like them, then I want to go see it. And I go, genius, where do you think they made their names? Like,
right.
They're former trials winners, all of them. So you will see good talent. It's just, why is the top talent that used to do it, that may not even do it this year, not interested? Or why are their teammates and friends not as jumpy at the opportunity? And that is where I feel like we are getting there. And it says it's not only how many, but who's packing up to do it as well. And that is a huge thing for a lot of these grapplers. They don't make a ton of money. They're literally trying to get every sponsorship possible to get the flight, the travel, all of that covered, because it is an investment. So I get it, but yes, it also says Craig busy in Thailand. I mean,
Yeah.
for sure, Craig has a huge influence on the people, but I feel like perhaps the Instagram lives of Mo are not doing what you need for a giant organization. And that if they don't adapt sooner than later, they may be in danger of becoming the next IBJJF, or at least the way that we used to perceive the IBJJF when ADCC was at its pinnacle. So there is that. Josiah, I'm just going to address this right now because we're about to get some to categories and whatnot. And you may notice that we're not going to get to 66 kg until towards the end, but I'll save you the effort here. You are Gianni's biggest fan. I have seen you post a lot about him, sir. We like Gianni. I think he is an incredible performer. It's a tough category. So I hope that you're rooting for him pays off, but it's going to be tough to get that one. And we'll go through those in a few seconds. But first, Tim, why don't we go ahead and start off by looking at the 65 kg category? So do you mind giving us some context in terms of what it is that we saw the last time in 2024 with the plus 65 kg division?
These are the dudes, right? Plus 65.
This is the
dudes.
women, actually. Women at plus 65.
Oh, we're going. Oh, wow. Let me pull up some notes on that. Hang on. Give me a second. The ladies at plus 65. Last time, I don't even remember. I'd have to go back and look at the. That's how out of touch I've been with ADCC, to be quite honest with you.
So Tim is proving our point here very quickly by not even having the recall of the average fan to know who be who. But allow me to give some small context here, Tim. I believe, if memory serves me right, and by the photo being the preview, Anna was the person who ended up winning the last division there. Now, what's interesting is this is kind of a struggle because the women in this category, it's a smaller category. Now, granted, they only recently expanded to 3 different weight classes. So really, not only are we looking at the women who are excited that there is a larger weight class or an expanded weight class, but really, I do wonder if part of the difficulty here is trying to find somebody who's willing to be beaten by some of these champions. Because if you look at Anna, you know, maybe you start to do the math and you're like, I'm good, but I'm not her level. But that is just one thought. Why don't we go ahead and now look at some of the names that are attached to that? So we're actually going to go to a separate window here that'll take you straight where the whatchamacallit is. So this is going to be able to help us walk through this weight class. And Tim, what I really love about this is our ability to kind of sift through and see the different people who are ascribed to this weight class. So for this one, a few names that kind of pop out immediately. You've got Jennifer Case, Jocelyn Baby Shark, Hannah Robinson, very, very solid competitor. And then you get some of our friends who I don't want to be biased to, but I'd love to see Laura Kent do well. And then a really interesting thing to me, this is how you can tell because they have them written in seeds, but Maya Matalon is somebody who won the last one previously, and she is listed as not seeded. So I don't know that we're going to see the seeded version of this until probably as we get closer to it.
I think these are the smooth comp seedings maybe, or some, because there's also like Elizabeth Mitrovic is in there. Paige is in there. There's a lot of folks in here that are like should be ranked higher. They wouldn't be like number 28 on the list, you know.
And it might be that they're waiting to unleash those toward the end because they don't want to exactly show how the brackets are going to go until it's like everybody's been checked in. So that is a possibility I have considered as well. But yes, this is a great reminder from our good friend Brian, who says brackets max out at 256. So that is correct. So yeah, they're about 80 under at the top bracket here. But you did mention a couple names, Tim, and I think because this might be a smaller weight class, do you even have 3 people that you want us to keep eyes on? Just given what we were kind of sifting through here in this weight class. We already probably mentioned, I think, their names, but
yeah,
noticeable by their not being seededness. But go for it.
Yeah, Paige. She's listed as Paige Boras, but I believe her last name is Clymer. She's fantastic. Paige is represented very well at ADCC, as well as who's number 1, all the promotions. She's crushing it. I would definitely keep an eye out for her. The same thing with Elizabeth Mitrovic. She's outstanding competitor, veteran, knows exactly what's up. So 2 big names there that aren't even ranked. I would definitely keep an eye on 100%. And the rest of these names in here, they're all pretty good. Like you mentioned, Maya Matalon. These are girls that are tough, man. And the women's division, it always has a lot of movement in it with new girls coming in. And so, it's very easy to have a name in here that stands out. They're just kind of flying under the radar still. And I kind of like to see that happen too, because we need some more stars, man.
I would agree. And I think you actually picked my exact same 3 people. Liz and Maya are friends of the show. Wishing them the best. They have both won trials in their histories before. So that should already be a red flag. Paige, as you mentioned, monster, can do great things. And I'm not sure, but is this Kendall's sister for Emmy?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so, yeah.
Having said that, I think this is going to be very interesting to see who emerges, but an underdog that we were saying. So we wanted to do 3 people and somebody to look out for. That would be Laura Kent. I'm hoping she kills it. So sending some love out that way. But Tim, we're now going to go back to our board and then we'll revisit the smooth comp here in just a couple seconds. But we're going to move now. And actually, before we move, I want to point out, so this category did go up 43% from East Coast Trials. So it did make some movement. And I feel like part of that movement is the women in this weight class probably were like, I'm not wasting my time. We'll see you when it matters because I'm not coming here just to do reps. So that's how you can tell women are smarter than men sometimes, because you know what? I would love to see what would happen if they said a man had to do 2 trials. Watch the way that they would bitch and moan. It would be fixed within an hour. In fact, I think the best part of this is I can't promise you Mo would love everything we're saying here, but I bet you Mo knows deep down inside the amount of dudes that have bitched at him for lesser infractions about some sort of divaness. And so I think somewhere deep in his recess of his brain, he's like, yeah, that's probably true. So let's move now to the women's under 55 kg category. So Tim, I'm going to take us right to the board. But before I do, a quick note on this. This has gone up slightly, 15%. Now notice for the women's, these margins of increase and decrease are going to be a little smaller because their sample size isn't as big. But nonetheless, it is worth noting that even though these are about the same numbers and anything can change in the next several hours before they stop signing up, it at least shows the women are being pretty consistent here. So why don't we move back to the board? And Tim, I'm going to thumb through some of the names here in a second, but I'd love for you to tell me any of these folks in the women's category. We said women's 55, right?
Under 55?
Yeah, under 55.
Yeah, so I mean, it's there's some pretty good talent in here. Of course, because of the way the rankings look, it's not totally accurate, but there's still some pretty decent names in the top 8. And then if you look like out of that, there's some other names in here definitely to watch out for. Amanda Bruce, number 9, is a very tough competitor. We've also seen Lauren Sears at a 10th Planet Austin do really great work. Another name that you got to keep an eye on. And surprisingly, a real big name that's pretty well known in jiu-jitsu is Danielle Kelly, and she's pretty low at the bottom. I don't know historically where she's ranked in ADCC, but that's also another name in this bracket to kind of look out for. I think if you're looking at maybe somebody who's not coming in ranked number 1, but has a pretty good shot, maybe flying under the radar, I'd go with Amanda Bruce.
Great call there. I'm just going to go over and amplify what you said, but shout out to Aaliyah Palomares, who I've seen compete locally at This Way. Danielle Kelly, just to fill in some context, I believe she made it to semifinals, losing to one of her own teammates at the last trials. And I want to say it was Anna, actually. So my apologies if I'm getting that wrong. But there are those two. But Amanda Bruce also has to be somebody to watch. And Ali Woski is going to be somebody who I'm intrigued to see how she does as well. There's also Lauren Sears. But, you know what? Valerie Hamilton out of 10th Planet Las Vegas has been a dog. And I want to say she was a runner-up as well. I like her pace, the pressure she puts on, and it's tough to even narrow this down to 3, but I'm going to go ahead and try to do it. I think 3 to look out for: Danielle Kelly, Val, Hamilton, and I'm just going to take one on the whim here and say an Amanda Bruce with kind of keep eyes on Ali Woski. And listen, if we're wrong here, it's likely, just look at these numbers. Statistically, we're supposed to be wrong. I do like those individuals in that weight class. So there is that. And it says, what is this? What is this? Good afternoon, gentlemen. Did we need a European tractor supply trying to figure out all the kgs on the board?
Oh, so, yeah.
Yes.
Metrics, baby.
You think that I want to talk about kgs? This is the one time of the year we have to pretend like these things matter. They literally bring in a separate weight class or a separate weight measurement that all of us are supposed to go, yes, I know I'm 82 kgs. I know I'm 74 kgs.
Yeah.
No one gives a shit until you have to do ADCC.
You don't care about kilograms or any of that stuff unless you're doing ADCC or buying drugs. Outside of that, you don't need to know the metric system of weights.
All right. I'm not even just going to read it. I'm just going to post it so you guys can see it. But let's move on to just our next weight class, because I feel like we got to speed through some of these. Tim does have to get out of here at a set time. So I want to make sure we get to some of the very big categories. This is the plus 99 category. So what you should know here is, yes, a men's category that has historically produced some very important individuals suddenly, and yet once again, down from its previous incarnation. So this is down 5% from the last East Coast Trials. Tim, with that being said, I would love for you to help walk me through some of these dudes that are in the big boy division here. And let's go ahead and start looking at them, because you'll see some names jump out at you right away.
This is plus 99. These are these are the guys that they're not going to diet at all. They're like, I'm going to enjoy my food and train hard. The biggest 2 lies you've ever told yourself. Okay, so here we go. Plus 99. Well, we got some names up at the top. Jared Lee, John Pell out of 10th Planet Villains. Haven't heard of that one yet. Austin Baker. Pretty decent names there. I'm going to be real with you, Raf. I am not a super fan of the 99 plus jiu-jitsu. It's not for me, man. I don't mind it, but it's kind of like, as soon as one guy falls down, then whoever's on bottom kind of loses. Most of the time, look, I'm not hating on big guys. I love big guys. It's just not my favorite style of jiu-jitsu to watch. Dude, honestly, I don't recognize a ton of names on this list, man. Maybe I purposely put blinders on when it comes to the 99 plus fellas.
Tim doesn't see size, so that's why he's blind in this category. Let me give some props here. I think Austin Baker has to be a favorite. Austin Baker, He's always a menace. He's competed very, very well. We don't see him as much as we used to. I think he's a dad. He's got his own gym. He's busy AF. But I would say Nick Hartman also went pretty far last time. I want to say coming up either runner-up-ish at the last trials over on the East Coast. Michael Eagley, somebody to watch for sure. But I am curious as to how Devontae Johnson isn't at least put in the seating yet. Like, that's how you know nothing has been done. Devontae has also gone far in the past. And I would say those would be my 3 people to keep eyes out for. And I want to give a shout out here to Jared Bandera, because he has competed for us over at Subversive. And, you know, he's an MMA fighter who, in his spare time, gets some grappling competitions in. And he's usually doing slap jitsu, if you would, but rooting for him to do well. And big shout out to Evan Rosenborough, because he's a dog who's had some fights with some big boys in that division. So those would be my 3. And I would say between the 2, let's give an extra shout out to Jared Bandera. But the nice part of this is we're going to see who's going to surprise us here, because some of these individuals who are seeded will likely have gotten their seeding from competing a lot from different organizations or by doing the opens. And I feel like that's a great launching point for us to get to know who those people are. But yes, it says, are you guys going to be at trials? Show up earlier. I already answered that. And then Mo has lost control. Well,
did he ever have it? That's the question.
And think about it like this. For Mo, it's kind of convenient to step away when things aren't as cool. Like, little easy to be like, hey, I'm going to get out of this disaster before anybody tries to blame me. But at the same point,
left the org.
He's also still running stuff. So I don't know. Like, there's such a secretive organization where Mo always had to go to the deal or no deal banker and be like, if I was in charge, I would do that. But I'm not. Let me talk to the people who run this. Oh, they said they don't like women, but I do. Wink, I'll get something done. So I don't know, man. I don't know what extent that he's had, but I love that a couple of the boys were like, yeah, from the Simple Man podcast, when they go, Mo, it's different now that Mo's not in charge. I was like, a lot of the same things are still wrong that were wrong when Mo was in charge. Nonetheless, we can't agree. He has moved a lot of things positively forward, but yes, there is that. Let's move on. We have to get through a couple more weight classes, and we're not super short on time, but we're going to hit it right on the mark. Let's go now to the women's under 65 kg. This is also up about 15%. Now, this is a notable category as well because it does bring out the best, and I'm very excited to see who will get kind of some shine from this one. But Tim, just off the top of your head, as I skim through some of these, who is going to stand out to you for the women's 65 and under category?
Got some interesting names in this list. I would say probably one of the biggest names and one of the most successful recent female competitors is Sarah Galval. She's not even ranked on the list at this point, but she's down there in the list. Keep an eye out for her performance because she always performs pretty well. Other names on the list, Maka Vickers, pretty decent at jiu-jitsu, making a good run. I think that's something to keep an eye on. And then Mona Bailey as well. I know those are number 1 and number 2, but both really, really great grapplers. And Raina Willink kind of filling out the number 6 spot. Jocko's daughter has been on a decent run. Like, you know, she doesn't win every match, but she definitely is improving, and she's testing herself against really great opposition, which is a really big thing to do when you're trying to come up in the competitive world. So, yeah, man, I would keep my eye out on Vickers. I would not be surprised if Vickers takes it.
For
Galval
me here,
as well, dude. Go ahead,
yeah, sorry. You mentioned Galvo has to be up there. I like Maka a lot, and this is where I start to get a little confused because Rana's on a run. Aislinn has experience. I can't decide between the two. And it's weird because I also feel awkward saying that the person who's at the top of this list in Mona could be listed as a dark horse. But this is where I feel the women's division really shines. And I'm not quite sure who I see fully pulling it all the way off. But I think from the three I named, you wouldn't be surprised if you see at least two of those in a semifinal. Just putting that out there. So I feel like that's pretty good. And just to let you guys know, the women's, as we mentioned, had a 15% increase in their signups. So let's go ahead and now move to our next weight class. Let's go ahead and bring that back up. This is under 99 kg. Let us go back there just to let you know it's only up slightly from the last East Coast Trials, only up by 2%. So probably that might be good enough to say most of the people who signed up the last time are trying to get this done here. Why don't we go ahead and start looking at some of those individuals that are in the 99 and under category here. Tim, just initial thoughts that jump out to you.
This is also the big boy category, but this is the big boys that have some discipline and can diet down a little bit. I love all my big guys, so don't get mad at me. We got Abraham Lamontagne, pretty well-known dude. It's got the A block. Got to watch out for that. Elder Cruz recently competed. I think it was against Nick Rodriguez, right? The UFC BJJ. Kind of Braylor Grout, another name that we've seen on and off over the years competing. This is a tricky category, man, because this category doesn't always go to the favorite. I feel like this is a category where you can see guys kind of trading positions in here, and in the guy that won first last year wins third, and some other dude wins first. Having said that, if I had to put my name on someone in this list, I just want to scan it one more time because there are some really surprising names in these lists, actually. I'm going to go with just a somebody that I like to watch. I'm going to go with Alex Grandy from 10th Planet Freaks. Keep your eye on him, man. He's a fun competitor. He's game. He's not afraid to mix it up, and he's not afraid to make some noise. I don't know how old Alex is. Do you have a read on how old he is?
No.
Doesn't really matter. Travis Thomas, he's in here. He's under the Las Vegas Kings. That's fantastic. That's hilarious. I love that so much. Watch out for him, man, because he's been rehabbing. He's been out for a minute, making some improvements. So it'd definitely be interesting to see how Thomas performs.
I'll go through my stuff real quick just because there are a lot of really hidden gems in here. Adrian Nez has won some competitions in the past. Keep eyes on him. Colin Sabino also could be a spoiler. This is where I find things interesting. Ian Dabe coming off an injury from the very last trials. So wondering how he'll do there. Austin Senyos probably going to be done partying in advance for the Chris Wojcik wedding, but has been a very big content maker. Efrain Guerrero is somebody who's been performing for us at Subversive. Big shout out to him as well. But I think it is a very difficult category for this reason. The first few seeds, even though it's not perfect, are people who have done well at both the ADCC Trials and the ADCC Opens. Elder Cruz has won a Trials. Abe Lamontagne has also won a Trials. Or at least a lot of Opens, let's put it that way. And then Braylor Grout is always kind of like somebody who can sneak up on you. So I feel like this is a very big hidden gem group. And I think you would do well to keep money on Elder, Abe, Alex Grandy, and as my dark horse, I'll put Ian Dabe in there because I'm not sure how he's going to perform with the injury. And now that there's a couple guys who are problematic in that division. Let's move now, Tim, up to our next weight class, which is going to be the under 88 kg division. Now, for this particular assignment, it should be worth noting this is up 38% from the East Coast Trials.
Yeah.
So we have seen a lot of these dudes show back up magically. And Tim, I'm going to go ahead and start taking us over to that. If you could give us your initial thoughts, that would be great.
Yeah, this division is stacked here. Just in the top few names, and probably the favorite, hard to bet against, Ryan Aiken from 10th Planet. Atlanta is going to be showing up. We have Andy Varela, always does great, super tough opponent. And if you kind of go down, there's some other names in here. Benji Silva from Kyotera Academy is a West Coast guy that always does pretty well. Jaden Groner, maybe he goes nuts at trials, right? Maybe he pops off and puts the hurt on some dudes. Jacob Couch, Nathan Haddad, big names in this list. And if you keep scrolling, a couple I want to call out. Mike DeWitt from 10th Planet, Springfield, Oregon. He's just one of my homies. He went out there in 2024, and I think he got like third at trials. He did really, really well. That was awesome to see. And there was another name on the list. Let me scroll down. It jumped out.
That was Majid. I see him in there too.
Yeah, it was Majid, Gorilla Hands. You know, this is a dude who's going to be competing in probably corduroy surf shorts and a TNC surf t-shirt. You know, he wears the old school like baggy t-shirt and regular shorts, and he competes in it, and he's freaking great. This is going to be a banger of a division, dude. This is a great. If you win this division, you probably have a real good shot at winning the gold medal. You got to win 8 times to win this division.
Yeah, it's definitely good reps for whatever you're doing. Tim, in the effort of trying to help you out here for time, I'm going to let you do your previews for the next 2 categories and then do some final thoughts, and then I'll clean up and go over mine on those, if that is cool with you, sir.
Oh, yeah, that's fine, man. Okay. Let's see. Under 66, dude. So this one kind of trips me out a little bit, to be honest with you, because we gotta get to the bottom of something in this list here. All right, some good names like Dominic Mejia, Reese Lefevre, he's a great competitor. Brady Branscombe, these are all guys that we know. Great, we know that Gianni Grippo's in here. We know that. We've been told that about 17 times since we started the show. Juan Martinez the 5th. Make sure you tack the 5th on. That's important. I learned that. And then if you keep going, Joe Moreira's name is in here. And Joe Moreira is like 65 years old. And I don't know if he's under 66 kilos. So I'm just saying, and he's right under Mike John, who's just a real terrible person. Boo. But my question is a 65-year-old Joe Moreira competing, or is this a goof? Is this dude really showing? And it says Team Moreira. So, I mean, dude. And then last call out, one of my OG students who trained with me when he was a kid out in Stockton and a few years back moved out to San Antonio. Vinny Torres is going out there for 10th Planet San Antonio. So nice job. Proud of you, Vinny. Yeah, those are my under 66 picks, man. Dude, I just need to know if Moreira's doing this because I'm going to watch if he does it. I'm watching, dude. I'm watching for sure. I'm watching that division at least.
Well, what you see here is just a plethora of names that we're sifting through. And that's how you know we're about to get to 77 right now. Because this is where I think things start to get a little hectic, Kim, because this is the biggest division, and I think they even had some other people show back up in that. So very quickly, from your opinion, how do you seeing this 77 kg category going?
Well, the guy to beat is at the top of it already. Jet Thompson has been on a run. He's going to be real, real tough to get around. Another name in that list I love a lot, Chris Vickers out at 10th Planet Walnut Creek. He's one of our coaches out in Stockton. Guy's got like well over 100 Dead Orchard competition wins, so keep your eye out for him. He is a great competitor, gets out there a lot. Some other names in here, CJ Murdoch, PGF veteran, Cam Hurd, PGF. This is littered with PGF veterans. Sam Davis from 10P Nashville. He's one of my black belt instructors. Will be getting after it. Maybe he will. He's better known as Dr. Headlock. That's his Instagram name, which I love. Sam Schwarzenfeld. Big names in this list, dude. I would say, look, if I got to put money down, Chris, did I just see Wojcik? I think I
thought I saw him.
Is he in there?
Well, he's also getting married the following week, so
he's getting married that day. He's like, just let me, the tournament, it'll run on time, babe.
Just to point this out, though, I did see from Chris Wojcik and his lovely soon-to-be wife, MJ, they're having an open mat after the rehearsal dinner. and I've never been more afraid in my life because she told me I'm not training, but that doesn't mean he's not. And I'm now very nervous about that.
Yeah. Alan Sanchez is in this bracket also. EBI vet, combat jiu-jitsu vet. So, yeah, big bracket, dude. So, listen, I would say, based on what I've seen, top 3 dudes, keep your eyes out for them. Jet Thompson, 100%. Don't take your eyes off of him. I think Alan Sanchez is way buried down at the bottom of the list for not a good reason. Definitely keep your eyes on him. Just saw Bill Cooper's name, Bill the Grill. There's a rule. There's the Bill Cooper rule in the IBJJF, which says you cannot go commando when you compete. Thanks for that, Bill Cooper. Yeah, I'm putting my money on Jet Thompson.
Appreciate that. Well, Tim, do you have any lasting thoughts before we get you on out of here and let me kind of do the run of the mill of the last few things here, sir?
Yeah, man. I'm not going to watch all of ADCC. Like, I'm just going to be real with you. I love to watch grappling, but I've already watched a lot of ADCC. I don't need to watch all of it now. I'm definitely going to keep my eye on it. I'm definitely interested in it. Even though I talk a lot of smack, I don't want it to go away. I think it has a really good place. And most of the smack talk is really, it's just like anger. Like, why are you guys doing this with this thing that we have in jiu-jitsu? Outside of that, Raph, great show. Sorry I have to run. Somebody just asked where the F is the big MF. You listen up. You can't handle the big MF, so don't bring them up if you can't handle them. Outside of that, if you're out in Nashville, come see me at 10th Planet Nashville. If you're in Stockton, go see my homies at 10th Planet Stockton. Catch me at Inside BJJ. Raph, great show. Love you, man. Great stuff. I know you'll hold it down. And I gotta be honest. I was a little bit like, oh, we're gonna talk ADCC whole show. I mean, I'm gonna just tell on myself. Last night I texted Raph. I'm like, bruh, I don't know anybody in West Coast Trials. I always do this, and Raph has to talk me back off the ledge. He's like,
I'm just like, you know more than you do. It's just you don't feel you know as much because it is intimidating when there's almost 700 names. And what inevitably ends up happening in the chat, no matter how many names you know, it'll be like, oh, you didn't know Pink McPinkerton? And you go, no. And they go, oh,
right.
He's been blowing it up. You guys don't know who he is. And it's like, what have they won? They're like, this. And you go, okay, maybe there's one person I don't know. I'm sorry, I didn't know them. So we do our best to be very knowledgeable. And even when I go back and try to go through these names with these last 3 categories without you, Tim, there's a lot of friends in this list who might have feelings they were not picked. So it's probably better you are not on camera when I am having to pick between Cam Hurd and Gerard James. Spoiler, I would have to pick Cam because he actually grilled for me. So Gerard, it's just based off that. That's all. But in the meantime, Tim, go do what you need to do. Instruct the children.
I go teach.
And I will talk with you later, sir.
All right, man. Have a good one, Vato.
Appreciate that. All right. So we got Tim out of here. So now we can say all of the crazy things that he would never let me say on show, which actually doesn't exist. It's usually the opposite way. What we're going to do right now is we're going to start going through my notes and observations of those last 3 weight classes. And there are a few that we need to address before we call it a day here. So why don't we go ahead and pump this back on over to the 88 kg category. And I'm going to go ahead and put this up here so that you can see me showing the work. I'm going to take off that circle because Tim is not here right now. And let's get straight to going over. I think we said we were going to do, let's double check here. We are actually doing first the 88 kg category. So let's pop that up first. You may notice it's harder to scroll through these ones in particular. So that was 77. Let's get on to 88. All right. A first name that jumps out at me, Ryan Aiken, dangerous dude, has been on a tear, very easily could have a good day there. Shout out Nick Ortiz, who might be an underdog to watch. Nick Ortiz got a submission over Bobby Winter, who is somebody who is ADCC top 16 twice. So we'll get to talking about him in a second. But it is curious that Nick Ortiz, perhaps because he's done more opens, higher ranked tonight. Tomorrow that'll probably change. The Andy Varela, who also has to be a favorite in this world. He has won as a Trials member before. Then we get into Benji, Jaden Groner, who also popped off toward the end of the PGF. Big question is, can he keep that momentum going? Somebody in the chat a little bit earlier asked about Sean Yadamarco, and I believe he was a runner-up at the last trial, so that is definitely somebody to watch. Kevin Crane, always dangerous. Jacob Couch, another previous Trials winner as well. So you've got those people just base down. Mateo Olmos, great wrestling, very fun to watch. Then you look down even more. Josh Squires, who was killing it at the PGF, he's making a return. Mike DeWitt in this. Then we go down even a little bit further. Jacob Lamar, friend of the show, we know him. You see even my homie, Daniel Romero, who's doing the Open 2 days before for whatever reason, and then going to do that. Dory Allen, monster. Pressure is when you watch him compete. Chris Martinez could also be a nice spoiler in that world. When he's on, he can break some people that you would be surprised at. Noah Chen, a subversive champ in his own right and somebody who competes a lot. David Garmo, pro, made his UFC BJJ debut. He is somebody to also keep eyes on there. Josh McKinney, William Porter, those are people that we see compete quite a bit. And then as we start to scroll all the way down here, you're going to notice Placido Santos, who is somebody who has been perhaps the most recognizable uke there is in the world of jiu-jitsu. So as you start to even look down, Aaron Teagues, somebody who's made a name for himself on Submission Underground and done so very nicely. Tim mentioned Majid. He's going to come in just straight from surfing and probably surprise you with a couple submissions. So having gone through all of these names, it is difficult to try and really narrow it down. Even as I see a couple homies, shout out Andrew Dyer or Drew Dyer, coming down to a top 4 is not impossible, but it is difficult. I'm going to do my best, and my apologies if I did not give you some shine. It's tough. I feel like I'm already making mistakes, but I'm going to do the best that I can in that 88 kg category. So let's go back down there. All right, let's go Aiken. Let's go Varela. Yeah, Sean could have Sean's really, he's a gamer. Sean and Jacob. Damn. And of those, I don't know how you call any one of them a surprise or like an underdog, because we're talking like podium and someone to keep eyes on. Maybe Sean is the one to keep eyes on just because everybody else mentioned in there, like Ryan is somebody who has done business, done well. UFC BJJ, obviously, he is right there, should be there. He's a PGF winner, combat winner. Yeah, that's tough. I feel like I have to give an extra one. Let's say shout out Nick Ortiz. Let's see him surprise some people there too. And to everybody who is family from us, either from Subversive or PGF, I wish you guys well. And I will be surprised if you don't see those 4 main individuals not having pretty good tournaments. But, and it said, I wish I had the chance to see y'all this season. I know. It's busy times, bro. But we'll always see everybody here. And yes, just to remind you guys, because I did say this earlier, I am not going to be at Trials. I'm going to be at WrestleMania. And I had some grapplers try to tell me, let me put this on the main broadcast. So a couple of weeks ago, when I started telling people, I was like, yeah, I'm not going to be at Trials. I'm going to be at WrestleMania. And they're like, you're going to that? And I go, those people have more intrigue and interest in doing something that is fake, allegedly, than you do something very real. And what I really try to tell people is, sometimes when they ask something like that, they're just kind of jealous that these dudes do spectacular things and have so many people interested in what they do. And yet our guys work so hard as athletes and they don't. So I just tell them, watch how they get people captivated. Sometimes it's their words, it's their charisma, it's their X factor. That is what so many of our grapplers miss out on. So that is usually why when I tell people like, yo, I'm not just going to get drunk, though I will. I'm going to find different ways to present talent because WWE does an incredible job of producing a show that we cannot match. There is no show currently that does it like the WWE or even AEW. And I feel we would do well to take cues, but not exactly the exact same thing, but to take elements from pro wrestling and put that into jiu-jitsu, at least from the production standpoint. Some of these guys watch one promo from Pat McAfee and think that they know how to cut a promo as grapplers, and it's not great. Unless you got somebody there to help you. I will Mean Gene the shit out of a promo for you guys, but that is my commitment to the game. So we did notice this. Yes, they were up 38% for the 88 kg category. We're now going to go up just a little bit more to the negative 66 category. This one already had some intrigue from one of our friends in the chat. We had Josiah a little bit earlier trying to get us to pay attention to Gianni Grippo, as if we do not pay attention to him. But all of us do. We know he is quite good, and I believe Gianni Grippo is somebody to keep eyes on. So why don't we now go back to the sign-up lists and see who we notice here. Well, right off the top of the bat, we do see Brady Brandstrom, friend of the show. Andrew DeGraff, very big favorite here as well. The magician himself. Barrett Yoshida, the legend, making his way back into it. Somebody who I need to put some respect on, Dom Mejia. Dom Mejia made a lot from his short time at the PGF. What happens now with the full camp back into this world? And he was looking very good at the last trials. Reese Lefevre, always a problem. Isaac Cordova, the dog, who has performed very well at big competitions. Keep eyes on him. Rafa Ferreira, fresh off the UFC BJJ debut, making his way back into the realm for this ADCC Trials. Juan Martinez, the homie, always a dog. Love that guy. Jordan Holy, don't sleep on him. His leg locks will put somebody away this weekend. Mateus Jimenez, who was just with us at the PGF, slipped in for a half second. He'll be there as well. And then there's some folks that I know you guys recognize, but Gianni Grippo will likely be ranked, so let's not lose sleep over that one. And then as you start to scroll down a little bit further through this list, there's some newer names that we're probably going to find out more about in this category. But I do hope that you guys are keeping your eyes out for your favorites and trying to tell us who to keep our eyes on, because we've already mentioned some folks that are likely going to be top of the podium. But somebody who's like a Ben Eddy can always surprise somebody, find their way back in to the top positions with this very, very funky guard. The problem is this rule set with the half and half for wrestling. We have seen Ben Eddy not always be able to counter that in not a submission only game. Excellent grappler. I think when he's really on his stuff, though, he is a problem for people. But I would wonder if he's come up with a new equation for this format. David Stolisu is in there as well. And then as we start to kind of round third, Kyvon Gonzalez, also from the internet and UFC BJJ, the series, aka the, what is it? The Ultimate Grappler is what we called it. Dom Lobo, one of the best guards in all land. Albert Tapia, Mike John, a ton of 10th Planet love coming in on that side. And yeah, I really do feel like your top names are really at the top of this list. I would say look out for Andrew DeGraff, Dom Mejia. I don't know. I mean, I'm going to put Rafa Ferreira on the watch list. Because I want to say at the last trials, and I could be wrong here, it was him and Keith Kokorian that met up earlier, and Keith ended up continuing on. So there is that. But I really do feel, if I'm being honest, Dom Mejia is looking really good. And if it's not him, Andrew DeGraff, one of those Kingsway boys, I think, are probably going to have a pretty good tournament, if not both. But only one person really goes to the big dance. So, yeah, I'm having a hard time trying to pick the other people who I think will really give them a problem. I'm not sure I see it. But I could see Reese Lefevre returning and doing some good things as well. So I'll put him in the third slot for right now. And I'd love to see Dovadog get back in there and be in that mix as an underdog. So those are my three for that category. All right, here's what we're doing. Oh, shit. Put your money on me. Well, I mean, I already said it was you, brother. I said if I had to pick between two other people, I was going to put it on you. But I have to be honest. You are a weird weight class, because sometimes I think you're a different weight class than you are. And then I remember like, oh, man, he's a big boy. Yeah. That dude be yoked. So it's hard to remember which weight class you belong to. It is 88 kg, though, right? Am I right on that? Let's look it up. Because I have to be honest, Cam, sometimes I look at this and I go, what weight class am I supposed to be? Camellia, that's not who I want. I want Cameron Hurd. And Cam, you are in 77. My apologies. Oh, shit, I didn't even get to you yet, dude. All right, we're about to get into some harder conversations here. What do you think about... Okay, now we have people in the 77 kg who are in the chat. We got Cam there, and then we got JJ's dad, who are asking me, who you picking in this one? Let me scroll through some names first, but let me go back to the analysis, which is just telling you how the numbers did. So yes, last trials to this one, up 10% from East Coast to West Coast trials in the 66 kg category for the men. Now, this is interesting to note. When I left off, I believe it was in the region for the 77 kg category at 188 competitors. So they're the closest to the stop down, which we won't hit, but the cap is 256. They are the only ones that are remotely within about 100 of that cap. So just so you're aware, this is going to be the showcase category, in my opinion. Not just because the numbers are there, but not just because we have friends in the chat who are asking me how I think everybody's going to do. But I'm going to read you some names, okay? So we're going to go back to this list, and we're going to start naming names. And we might make some people mad. And we hope the people who love us still love us as we go through these names. Woo! Okay, here we go. Chad Thompson, Michael Liera. Yikes. Michael Sains. Yikes. Okay. Let's scroll down a little bit further here. Jonathan Wilson, Officer Grimy. Shout out him. Shout out the homies Bryce and Jesse. Don't love that for either of those guys because Ernesto Rivera is in that category. Ernesto on a good day really does put people down. Very nervous about that. CJ Murdoch. Sometimes he looks like he's a wizard. Is he going to have the magic for that day?